Hey there, friends. Today we're diving into one of the most famous stories of all time, a tale of courage, faith, and overcoming the impossible. You might have heard it before, but I promise we're going to take a fresh look at it today. Yep, I'm talking about the story of David and Goliath. It's a classic underdog story where a young shepherd takes on a massive warrior, and against all odds, he wins. So grab a seat, settle in, and let me walk you through this legendary tale. All right, picture this. We're in ancient Israel, and the Israelites are at war with their sworn enemies, the Philistines. Now, these two armies have gathered for battle in a valley, one on each side, facing off like two boxers before the big fight. But here's the thing. Instead of charging at each other, the Philistines have a secret weapon, a literal giant named Goliath. This guy isn't your average warrior. He's huge, over 9 feet tall, covered in armor, and he's got a spear so heavy that most people couldn't even lift it. Goliath wasn't just big, he was intimidating. Every day for 40 days, he walks out to the battlefield and taunts the Israelites, shouting things like, "Send me your best warrior. If he can beat me, we'll be your servants. But if I win, you'll serve us." And of course, the Israelites, they were terrified. I mean, who wouldn't be? Goliath was basically a one-man army. No one dared to step up. So here's where the story takes an interesting turn. Enter David, a young shepherd boy. He's the youngest of 8 brothers and spends most of his days out in the fields, looking after sheep. David's not a soldier, he's never been to battle, and he's certainly not a giant slayer by any stretch of the imagination. One day, David's father sends him to the battlefield to deliver food to his brothers, who are soldiers in the Israelite army. When David arrives, he hears Goliath's daily challenge, and unlike everyone else, David isn't scared. Instead, he's angry. He can't believe no one's willing to stand up to this guy who's insulting his people and his God. David turns to the soldiers around him and says something like, "Who does this Philistine think he is, disrespecting the army of the living God?" Now word gets around that there's this fearless shepherd boy ready to face the giant, and eventually King Saul hears about it. So David is brought before King Saul, and he tells the king, "I'll fight him. I'll take down Goliath." At this point, I'm sure Saul is thinking, "Really? This kid?" Saul tries to reason with David, saying, "You're just a boy. Goliath has been a warrior since he was young." But David's not backing down. He says, "When I'm out in the fields taking care of my sheep, I've fought off lions and bears. If God protected me then, he'll protect me now." Saul, probably out of options at this point, agrees to let David fight. He even offers David his own armor. But here's the funny thing, David tries it on, and it's just way too big for him. He can't move around in it. So David decides to stick with what he knows. He grabs his shepherd's staff, picks up 5 smooth stones from a nearby stream, and takes his trusty slingshot. Yep, a slingshot. Now we're at the moment of truth. David walks out to meet Goliath on the battlefield, and Goliath takes one look at him and laughs. He sees this young, unarmed boy and thinks it's a joke. Goliath shouts, "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" But David, with the courage of someone who knows he's not fighting alone, shouts back, "You come at me with a sword, spear, and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty. This day everyone will know that there is a God in Israel." And then, without hesitation, David takes one of the stones, places it in his slingshot, and wham! He lets it fly. The stone hits Goliath right between the eyes. The giant stumbles and falls face down onto the ground. Just like that, the battle is over. David rushes over, grabs Goliath's sword, and finishes the job. And that's it! David, the shepherd boy, defeats the mighty Goliath with nothing but a stone, a slingshot, and unshakable faith. The Israelites are in total shock, and the Philistines? Well, they run for the hills. David goes from being an unknown shepherd to a hero, and this victory eventually sets him on the path to becoming the greatest king in Israel's history. But the real lesson here? It's about facing our own giants. We all have challenges that seem impossible to overcome, whether it's fear, doubt, or obstacles in life. But just like David, with courage and faith, we can face them head on and come out victorious. So next time you're up against something that feels way too big for you, just remember, you've got more strength inside you than you think. It's not about being the biggest or the strongest. It's about having heart, faith, and the will to keep moving forward. Thanks for sticking around for this epic story. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on more legendary tales and life lessons. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.